Sohan Modak, currently professor at the Institute of Bioinformatics and Biotechnology, University of Pune. Dr. Sohan Modak is an embryologist and an evolutionary bioinformatician. He has a doctorate from the University of Geneva, and he did his postdoctoral work at the Oak Ridge National Laboratory. He served as the staff scientist at Swiss Institute for Experimental Cancer Research, 1970-77, visiting professor at Ohio State University, and scientist engineer at the French Center for Nuclear Energy, Grenoble. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. 79, he joined the University of Pune as a professor. He founded the biotechnology training program there, NCCS, Bioinformatics, DIS. Dr. Sohan was Professor Emeritus at Karnataka University, Dharwad, and G.N. Ramachandran, Senior Research Fellow at IGIB, Delhi. He published research in developmental neurobiology, molecular biology, genomics. He now mentors studies on molecular evolution. Before his retirement, he headed the Department of Zoology from University of Pune, where he studied embryology and also conceived and developed Department of Biotechnology at the University of Pune, of course, and National Facility for Animal Tissue and Cell Culture, which later came to be known as NCCS. His notable discoveries include demonstration of chicken cell disintegration during normal development. This one might be interesting for all these students. This disintegration was later coined as what we all know as apoptosis. Isn't it interesting, guys? We are actually going to be interacting with someone who knew apoptosis much even before the coin was termed. So, Dr. Sohan, I have a question for you. Just before we begin. Yesterday, when we had a short discussion, you said that you would be you would also like to talk about startups and entrepreneurship, enterprising as a great opportunity for biotechnologists. So this is the question for you. What kind of startup or enterprise options are available for students, freshers coming out of biotechnology today? Dr. Sohan, over to you. One second, I think, let me just find out, is there a problem? Okay, I think he's there. I think there's a technical glitch or something. So we'll just give it a couple of minutes.
He is mute, I guess.
I think he's on mute.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. There are many areas for give opportunity for SME, small scale industry in biotechnology right now, because for a number of reasons, not the big industry is not necessarily ready to take all biotechnologies that are being produced in the country, and naturally so. So there is an opportunity for doing SMEs. I'll just give you examples of 3 or 4 such SMEs started by my own students in Pune. In Pune, there's an SME called Inora. Now, what they do, Inora people, they're involved in composting. They produce earthworms. They're producing kits for composting. And it's become a big business in Pune, although it's restricted to not just Pune city, but Pune district, as well as agricultural institutions around Pune. They have become very interesting and important part of the city culture, because they also take all the composted material collected by Pune Municipal Corporation and treat the waste to actually produce the or the compost, which is then given away or sold actually to the farmers. That's one area. People doing plant tissue culture, they have enough opportunity to go into plant tissue culture because there are a large number of plant diseases which require to be treated and which require to be tested, and their etiology needs to be understood and known. And plant tissue culture is one area which was developed very well in University of Delhi on one hand, or National Chemical Laboratory on the other. And I'm sure there are other places too. This is another area where the small scale industry will do, because simultaneously there is already Pune, we have some of my students started small scale industry producing bacterial cultures which are of use in actually industrial production models. They're even selling their cultures to and production modules to Korea and Japan and China. And so that's another area. There's a great deal of opportunity. Unfortunately, in our country, when we talk about plant sciences, people say, plants, that's not terrible. But it's actually most exciting area of the biotechnology, which is still unfortunately being uh, kept aside. The third area is molecular biology and immunology that's where the great deal of biotechnology opportunities are there, provided you have the issues concerning, for example, kits for production of kits for detecting antigens. You know that the COVID-19 had created a great deal of opportunity right now, but what is the consequence of this opportunity? RT-PCR, you got 30 to 50% false positive or negatives, because these tests are being run by people who don't know what the hell they're doing. Uh, that's where the biotechnology should have come into, students should have come into be. In fact, number of my students are actually involved in Pune in working as volunteers in taking the samples and actually doing RT-PCR. But and I'll give you the little analysis of what goes wrong in this system a little later. But I'm just pointing it out. There are opportunities of testing antigens, anti-COVID antigens naturally produced, or even testing simply RT-PCR, the presence of the virus. And whatever the technology is available, if mastered, can be used for any other kind of endemic or epidemic or pandemic, viral or bacterial or otherwise. The third area, I'm concentrating on the question that was given to me specifically, so we will first finish that off, if it's all right, Shruti ma'am. The third area is that when it comes to molecular biology, the problem with molecular biology, it has become a kid biology. And just avoid any university or college which teaches you laboratory practices using kits, because you don't know what the hell is in the kits and what the industry is selling you in the name of the kits. When we started producing, extracting DNA, we tried 4 different methods to get the best DNA sample. And our recoveries are much better than the kits. Now the better kits have come perhaps, but they will not tell you what actually happens in the kits. And so if somebody is cheating, you have it. So don't do anywhere you go, at least at till master's level, don't get involved in kid biology. Do the hands-on training. So choose an organization for teaching where you get real good hands-on training. And that's very important because there are enough number of predatory organizations in India. I don't mean in biotechnology, but I think the best area to describe this MBA. The large number of predatory organizations which take a lot of money out of you, organize few lectures here and there, and then of course you get a degree and you get a stamp of some kind. Anyway, coming back to biotechnology, what you need in biotechnology training, it's hands-on training. The real hands-off training, that's what matters and not kid biology. The next area which is important is the how to make reagents and how to actually make use of these reagents for specific purposes. The next area uh, is that the question of teaching and research in biotechnology. Teaching in biotechnology requires a much greater deal of uh, prior prior expectations and prior training in biotechnology, because when you teach something you should know what you're teaching, because you should know the subject, not just because you just got a degree and you got the qualifications and so on. So that requires something quite different. Finally, there are two other areas which are very interesting, and that is coming to actually bioinformatics. Bioinformatics is an area where you create databases or you analyze databases of nucleotides or amino acids or polypeptides or polynucleotides or DNA samples or mitochondrial material or whether the metabolic pathways, or whatever it is. And those are very interesting and important area because they plug you into the actual happening of the scenario that goes on, in the great deal of opportunity in this area. Uh, I think I will just stop there and give. There are many other things, but the time is something is a constraint. So I'll stop there and leave other any other questions in that context. I would also point out to you that one of the issues which I mentioned yesterday, but I think it's important for the students, always choose the place you're going to learn biotechnology is the one which gives an opportunity to become an intern in industry or even in a national laboratory. With that means it's a taste of blue blood where there is action. And in the action scenario, if you spend 1 or 2 or 3 months, and whether in the atmosphere of right or wrong, you at least understand what's going on, what is to be expected now or in future. And that's very important, something that you think of. I should point out something about the industry. This is not a negative comment, but industry is also just like little lot of bureaucratic measures are involved in industry. Industry takes a hell of a lot of time to take a decision. And naturally so, because there are financial constraints involved. And so if you have a project and if you want to do something new, well, you might face a great deal of problem in industry. They will say, well, take a month or take a 2 months or 3 months or 6 months. And there are a whole set of committees and management who have to take a decision depending on the nature or the extent of the project that's involved. So take industry for, when you go to industry, you go for specific purpose in which you have specific qualification, which is actually demanded by that industry at that point in time. Then things work beautifully. But if you try to play something like that, I got this great idea, what do you think? Forget it, nothing will happen for next years or so or something, unless there is a guy sitting on the top who really understands what you're talking about. Anyway, I'll stop there and we can continue further. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sohan, for your, insights is what I would say. I mean, even if you share a few minutes with us, considering that I think you are the veteran we have here with us today. Wouldn't be wrong to say that. So, yeah, it was really nice to hear from you.
Hey, thanks for watching the video. Feel free to visit our website at www.gradskey.com. Smash the like button below, hit the subscribe button to follow. Also, to get notified when a new video is uploaded, click on the bell icon and you can get a